Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Alabama Township Village Hall. We're going to call the order of the Alabama Village Council meeting June 3rd, 2025. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Dyke?
Present.
President Pro Tem Steffler? Present. Councilmember Feldman?
Present.
Councilmember Glasser?
Present.
Councilmember Miller?
Present.
Councilmember Powell?
Present.
Councilmember Schneider?
Thank you. Agenda items tonight. So the agenda item number 1, the budget update, that was actually supposed to be for the workshop on June 10th, next Tuesday, so that has been removed from the meeting. Two quick points about the discussion is ads for homecoming committee and televising the workshop next Tuesday. Go to the end of the discussion. Any other changes or deletions to tonight's agenda? Being done, I did not have any communications, and now consent agenda with the budget, workshop May 13th. Being done, the meeting minutes for May 20th. Stephen is with us in spirit. He asked me to make this change to the minutes. Number 3, the social media policy. We previously used to indicate who voted yes and who voted yes and who voted no, and I want that in here. It's just like it's in number 5 below that. So
Okay.
He's asking for that change.
Okay, so the 3 dissenting you want on there?
Yeah.
Okay,
The 3 yeas and the 3 dissents being individualized.
okay.
Anybody else in the meeting minutes for May 20th? General fund. Victor Street. And Walter Street. Park and Recreation Fund. Downtown Development Authority Fund. Capital Projects Fund. Sewer Fund. Water Fund. Equipment Fund. Payroll Register Report. If there's no other comments or questions regarding the consent agenda, I will petition motion for approval. Support. Motion by President Pro Tem Steffler, supported by Councilmember Feldman to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes with all council members present. Now is the time for public comment or any item on our regular agenda. Is there any public comments or anything on our regular agenda? Being none, agenda item number 1, the tractor purchase. And that's page 66 in your
I included the memo detailing it out. One of the loose ends was what the cost to put weight in the tires would be. I've since received that, it's $300. Of course, entertain any questions.
So we're looking at 29,425 plus 300. Because the memo doesn't give us the overall price. Oh no, that's the vote. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're $25 off.
My bad.
$29,700 with the tires.
Anybody in council have questions in regards to the tractor purchase? for Mr. Cruz.
So I know they're really close in price, between the Kubota and the Mahindra. Just so that we're clear, the Mahindra has greater horsepower and lifting capacity than the Kubota.
Yes, the tractor has greater horsepower, but the lifting torque is higher, and it's higher on the 3-point hitch also.
Yeah, on the Mahindra.
Yes.
And the dealer that we're working with, they don't feel like they'll have any issues if we would need to get service parts or regular service or anything like that.
No, they've seen no impact. And it is a very local dealer.
All three are.
I have a question about the budget explanation. In the memo, it indicates our current budget includes the purchase of a new tractor. Is that the FY '25 or FY '26?
25.
So this was budgeted for this.
Yes. They're up to $30,000. So, to expound a little more, the fact that we found we could get the stronger horsepower for a few dollars more and keep it competitive with the other ones, that was a very nice feature. And just to add more to it, I wasn't involved in picking the tractor. The couple guys went and looked at them, reviewed them, are familiar with them. I have a Kubota like the one we were looking at here. So when they finally selected, I went out and looked at it because I wondered how it compared and the things that I like on mine and don't like. And then I got back together with them and we talked about it at length, and they're very set that this is the best unit for that, the various purposes that it would serve.
And we're still anticipating that this is a shared piece of equipment between DPW and the wastewater treatment plant.
Absolutely. And will, as I say, the use being tracked going forward as we do everything else.
And the last question is the proposal to transfer funds from the wastewater treatment plant solely to fund this. And the reason being behind that is because the wastewater treatment plant has been using it but not paying
Yeah, there's been
general fund back.
no rental fee, as we call it, being moved from wastewater into the equipment fund for the 40 years that they've used the tractor. It was, when it's used by DPW, they put rental time through on it. So that's why I say it would be, I think, appropriate to pay for it with funds from the wastewater treatment plant, and then as we go forward, paying the rental fee for the hourly use will have the money there to purchase the next one.
Which fund was this budgeted out of originally in the current budget?
Equipment.
So not wastewater treatment plant, correct? So how does that impact our wastewater treatment plant fund?
They're below budget right now, so.
Okay, so we are, because we had those repairs that we had to make,
Mhm.
so we
Mhm.
had some concerns there. My other question, or, I mean, not necessarily a question, but comment, was that during the utility billing discussions, there was quite a importance placed on protection of the capital improvement fund. This would erase all of those reported savings we have by not moving to a different plan for at least that first year or two. So just wondering do you see what I'm saying? It's like we had said we want to be very careful not to decline our wastewater treatment and drinking water funds, but we're doing that here. So
There's 4 needed equipment.
Or
specified.
needed equipment that's going to be shared. So I understand the reasoning for past was that it wasn't being paid into. I feel we are going to correct that in the future. Right?
Correct.
So I think, in my view, it would be fair to do it half and half, or as it was budgeted at the equipment fund. So that's just my opinion. But it is based on the fact that do place strong importance on maintaining that chemical treatment plant or wastewater treatment plant.
Anybody else in council with questions?
I just want to see from Dale or Ken if that has a merit or a reaction.
Well, I would say that the plant operation is under budget and there is a significant fund balance there. Again, because there's no contribution over the years for this piece of equipment. But at the same time, I absolutely understand what you're saying about protecting it. It has a very large fund balance, so wastewater in particular.
So that was the argument, I guess, towards more frequent billing. So that, I think that's my point, is that if we want to protect that fund, then we should do so here and then move forward doing appropriate. But I'm only one voice, so.
Anybody else have anything? Need a motion one way or the other?
Can I say something? Well, since we're going to be sharing the tractor, our department wanted to put some input into the specs of the tractor. We've been talking about putting a cab. If we were going to get a new tractor, we're talking about putting a cab on it. So, my guys weren't consulted on this until basically it came in the packet Friday. So we didn't know this purchase was going to happen. So, and it's coming out of our budget as well. I mean, you know, we've put a lot of use on the Ford tractor. We've put a new clutch in it. We've put tires on it and a front loader. So we've put some money in repair into it. But like they were saying, you know, going forward, we'll do equipment rental charges.
Did the repairs come out of the wastewater treatment plant budget or general fund?
Equipment fund.
The equipment fund? Okay. Okay. But yeah, going forward, we can do the equipment rental. So, I think, we should get some input from the wastewater side if we're gonna do 50-50 use of the tractor to make sure it's got all the options we need.
Do you feel that this one does not have the options that you need?
We dumped the bin since we'll be using the tractor most of the time. You know, we have a tractor with a cab on it as it sits, and we dump the bin, rain or snow. So, we feel it would be a downgrade going to a tractor without a cab. This one has a lifting capacity, but, you know, we weren't consulted with, on this decision whatsoever. I believe it's just the DPW. So if we're going to split the tractor and it's going to come out of our fund, shouldn't we have some sort of say on the tractor? That's my question. So.
Do you have a chance to look at cost and how much more is a tractor with a cab?
I believe it's about 10,000 more from what I was told from the DPW. On the current selection of was it the Mahindra? It's about an extra 10 grand for one with a cab.
So was that considered by DPW or those who were looking into it? The cab
Well,
versus not a cab?
As I say, the guys, it was in the budget for the year to be replaced discussion that occurred on and off about its replacement. DPW employees, which these guys are all in the same area, talked about it, reviewed it. The reason that I remember hearing they weren't interested in the cab is for some of the uses, the cab would be a problem. So it would be in the way, tree branches, that sort of thing. I'm not familiar with the track. There may be a cab for that Ford tractor. I've not seen it on it. So I've seen it operating. Last I learned was that the unit, the Ford tractor was broken and not being used, or being used in a broken manner, stuck in fourth gear for several weeks or months. So as far as people looking at it, again, it's the guys that are using it that went to look at it. I can't imagine how, if they were working together, they would not know that that was being researched and being
But
done.
we were never brought into the discussion about, I wasn't made aware that the tractor purchase was being undergone.
So what
And-
budget?
And
30,000.
So I think it's a really easy decision. Either you stay within 30,000, which we're at 29.4 or something right now, or 29.7. Or you add 10 grand and get your cab, but that means that you might not get the tractor at all. So you just stuck with a 40-year-old tractor that's broken.
Well, the tractor does work. It's, if it goes into fourth gear, sometimes it locks up into fourth gear. We don't use the fourth gear on the tractor. Since we just go from one end of our property to the other. The rest of the tractor's in working condition and it is able to dump the bin. And then we have the skid loader, which we went in half on with the DPW. That thing is outfitted to dump our bin as well. So that's another option we can use, is a skid loader.
I guess there was just two questions. One, if or why weren't they brought into discussion when it was happening? Two, if you found about it Friday, why didn't you go to him and talk to him about it internally? So something could have been done, so we're not here stat about it in a public meeting.
Yes, sir.
That's my two questions. You guys have answers to those two questions?
Say the first one again.
My question to you is, if he was not brought into it, why wasn't
Well,
he?
again,
It's not an assumption, it's why wasn't it? And my second one was, if you knew about it Friday, then why are we sitting here talking about it publicly instead of you going to him and saying, hey, what's going on with this? We didn't get talked about the quote. There's things we wanted. Because then maybe we could have put it off 2 weeks, figured it out, and then talked about it next week. So why are we here?
so my answer to your question is, hearing from the staff that went and actually drove the tractors, they commented about the input from the wastewater treatment plant. So again, I assumed that they had input along the way because they talked about the cab, they talked about it being broken and stuck in fourth gear for months. They fixed it so that it could be used. They use it on property only. The DPW uses it all over town for brush hogging and various things. So, and the fact that it was budgeted again, these things are clues to me that they would have been informed, but I did not go and directly grab them and say, hey, go with DPW to look at tractors.
Going forward, if there is a split thing, we need to do that.
Sure. Well, the idea of funding it this way was really not necessarily a last minute thing, but something that I came up with when you started to dig into the history of the tractor.
Right, and I know on several fronts, we're trying to make our accounting practices up to date, so that all accounts are being charged correctly, and that's been a very arduous process that we're working through, and things that can happen, so. Council now rests on us, because we've been put into a position, so how do you guys want to move on this?
I have a question. If the tractor is purchased now without the cab, what is there and what is the cost difference to add it later, a year from now, opposed to getting it new?
You can buy a cab.
So is there much of a cost difference by doing it later opposed to now?
They're a CAD 4-inch truck.
I believe there is, I think, a display one of them has a cab on it. And of course, we didn't look at the cost of the cab, so I'm not sure what that is.
So possibly we could, purchase it without the cab now and maybe in the budget next year, add the cab.
Is there other functionaries that you,
This tractor's got everything else.
yeah, except the cab?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel that if we're gonna make a purchase, we should have buy-in from both departments that are going to be using it, whether or not we purchase a cab or not. I think there should be some general agreement that this is a piece of equipment that all parties want to move forward with. I mean, I don't mind waiting a couple of weeks to get that input.
Well, additionally, if I may, I was under the impression it had been passed on to me by Clinton and others that the skid steer was not something they would use to empty that container. So if we don't need a tractor to do that, that work every week, then maybe there's no reason to buy one at all.
But it sounds like there's some more discussion that should happen before moving forward.
Do you agree? Okay. We'll table it. That concludes tonight's meeting. Public comment or anything not on our regular agenda, is there any public comment tonight? Being no open discussion, it's been brought to my attention by a couple of council members that for we had the last meeting, for budget, and it was not televised, and, it doesn't give residents a chance to hear good information, and, it's being requested by a couple members of council that we televise next Tuesday's meeting, and asking for consensus of council to do that for transparency's sake.
So we've never televised workshops or.
No, they are public open meetings. They're public open meetings, and especially with budget stuff, I think it's important that residents that can't make it have a chance to see it. So I'm asking for consensus on that. Okay, thank you. The second one is, simple. Last meeting, we approved the, homecoming bylaw. But we did not take immediate action to, place ads to, try to get a new committee together. So I'm asking the council, Kim to, take that consensus, to take that step, and put it in that stating that, the bylaws been completed, we're looking for, volunteers for the homecoming committee. Former servers are welcome back, and to put that on the website.
Just website, what, website, Facebook?
Facebook and our, yeah.
What about the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll publish them.
We pay for it. If we pay for it, they are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Curtis, do you have anything else to bring to council?
Yeah, I wanted to see, we put a copy of the new budget format in the packet. Did anybody like it, dislike it? Comments?
I didn't thoroughly review it once sideways.
I went through it 3 or 4 times, but it makes sense to me.
Agreed.
I like it.
I like it.
Okay, all right. I wanted to let you know that one of the things that happened today, we received notice from Eagle that we have a deficiency in the water department. And in theory, a deficiency is considered a violation. But the details of it were not correct. We have they said X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z were not correct. They're not, they didn't, they have the data that they're saying they don't have, or is an issue, so we're gonna get back with them and address it and see where they'll go from here. Basically, they want us to have a program in place for, and we just approved the contract, which we've been doing for many, many years, backflow prevention, basically. So we'll dig into the details. Like I said, it came today in my email, and Brian got it in his email. So we'll dig into it. Kurt Swanson,'s the representative, so we'll figure out why he highlighted these items. Well, I know he's been involved with us in setting it up. So maybe there's a nuance we're missing. We'll find out. But I wanted you to know that we received that today. We got a response from the police. They're in favor of the new proposed contract. So that will be brought up and brought out at the next meeting. And we had, just to give you a flavor of some of the things we keep track of, we had a right-of-way bond that we held for someone that was building a house. We had photos that they had damaged the curb and didn't replace or bring the water shut-off curb box up to grade, so DPW ended up doing it. So they had made a cash bond, and we said, hey, I wrote a letter, you didn't clean up your mess, you didn't fix the cement ahead of time, so we're keeping your bond, $2,500. Well then, today the owner or the property owner that built the house showed up to the office and he said, I got your letter and saw your pictures. I didn't crack the curb, it wasn't me. I said, well, we reminded you while you were working on it, we told you. So he showed us pictures of the cracked curb before the house was even started. So we will have to go back and refund him part of his bond. But that, we are taking all those things very seriously and tracking them, so.
The VC was taking consideration of document and stuff too, which is good.
Right, but he said he fixed the curb box, but I'm pretty sure Brian has notes that we fixed it. So I gotta wait for him tomorrow to show us that, and then we'll settle the account up. But it's, meeting with the guy, he was pretty reasonable, and things went well. But just an idea of some of the type of stuff we do from day to day. So, and that's it.
Ms. Keeler?
Sir.
Ms. Wayne? Or Councilmember Glasser, sorry, Councilmember Butler? Or President Representative Ossoff?
Sure. I have just a quick budget, or a quick park update pertaining to budget. I believe it was included in the information that was in our packet. The park board is requesting, as a proposal, $17,500 from each contributing entity for this next fiscal year. That's not set in stone yet. It will be voted on at our meeting this Thursday. So I just wanted to give board a heads up that likely is what the requested amount will be but that will be confirmed at a meeting, and then, will be available to vote at our next, council meeting. That's about it, I mean,
Councilmember Powell. Welcome back, Mr. Miller. Councilmember Miller, do you have any?
Good to be back, and I'm good.
The only thing I have is, our township village police committees met last night for discussion. Went about 3 hours. And we have some new data and we're meeting again, to try and come to an agreement on that, so we would want to vote on that. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Couldn't figure out what the note was. The note was to say that we